And welcome to part 3. We're going to pick up with working with the cities table. If you want to go back to your database, we're going to look at cities a little bit now. So I'm just going to go back to world, and then this time we'll go into city, and I'll just do a couple little queries in city. And let's see what I had. I had some notes down here of some things. Top 10 most populated cities in the US. First of all, let's just find cities in the US first, because these are cities in the world, and we have to use a country code, and I believe the country code is USA. If you weren't sure, I won't do it now, but if you weren't sure, you could order this by country code, and then you could do it backwards, and you could click it again in descending order, and it would go from the Z's, and you could see if USA is there. But I know it's USA, so I'll skip that step. I know the country code is USA. And I'll just do a query of cities. Remember, we're in the cities table, and it's saying select all from city. And you could leave that city there. And I'm going to say where, and I'm going to look for country code. And country code is right over here, so you could double click on that. And if you don't mind those little blue things, just leave them there. Where country code equals, and I'm just going to put a single quote and put USA. And I'll end it with a semicolon because that's good to do. That's good practice to get in. And I'll hit go. So this should be all. Select everything. Remember, the asterisk just means all. Everything from city where country code equals USA. So let's see what comes up. So all the cities with a country code of USA are coming up right now. And there's 274 of them. And they're from all different states. And notice they don't say state. They say district. Okay. And we could kind of find out which districts are there too. So we could write another SQL if we want to say which ones are from Pennsylvania, where select all from city, where district equals, and I'll do Pennsylvania, just to see what Pennsylvania cities are there. I'm from Pennsylvania, and that's not how you spell it. There's two N's. And I'll put a single quote and end it with a semicolon. And I'll hit go. And there's only showing 4 from Pennsylvania: Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown, and Erie. They're not even showing Harrisburg, which is the capital. So obviously this database doesn't have all the cities. It just has maybe some higher populated cities. So that's, at least we know what's there. And we could check what's New Jersey. Yeah, I'll let you find the New Jersey ones. So I'll skip the New Jersey ones right now. And let me see what else I could find in here. Now I don't have to rewrite this again. Remember, you could go to get auto saved query and just change this to California. You have to spell it right. And I'll put California, and then I'll just hit go. And all the cities where the district is California. Now, I don't have to put country code. You might say, well, why didn't you put country code? Well, if the district is going to be California, there's no California that's in another country, so you don't need country code. But for California, I'm coming up with 68 cities in California, and that's not that much bigger than Pennsylvania. There's only 4 in Pennsylvania, and there's 68 in California. They just must be biased of where they did this database. Anyway, I'll ask you a couple things like that. So what I want you to remember when you do it on your own, remember to hit get autosave query, is you're saying you're asking what table do you want it from, and then you're putting the where condition, and then you're asking another condition about a field. And you're also looking for a value of the field. You're saying, well, if the field value is California, show me all of them. And that's what select is doing. 10 most populated cities in the US. How would we figure that out? Top 10 most populated cities in the US. Well, we want all the cities in the US, so we want select all from city. So we definitely want the country code to be, so I'll just kind of delete this, and we definitely want the country code because we want them all from the US. So I'll double click country code over here, and I started to type something else and it didn't replace it, so make sure you fix that, where country code equals, and I'll put USA, and we're going to do something we haven't done yet, and we're going to do order by, and you can just type an O and do order and then by, and I'm keeping them in caps because those are SQL keywords. Order by, and we're going to order by population. If you remember before, that's what we did when we just clicked on the population field name. But here we're saying order by population. And we're also going to say descending. So it uses the biggest ones first. So we're going to click on descending. We want to do that. All right, so order by population descending. Okay, now it says top 10. Now this is going to do everything. Now we could just do this. We could put a semicolon and go and just count the top 10. But we can also do this. we can say limit. They have a thing called limit, and we could say limit 10 and then put a semicolon. So that'll limit what displays in our query. Again, we're running a query, and we're saying we want all with a country code of USA, ordered by population, and we want to limit it to the first 10. So we're going to hit go. And then what we have is we have New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Philly, Phoenix, San Diego, Dallas, San Antonio, and Detroit. So we have the top 10, and you can see there's like, 80, what's here, like 8 million, 3.6 million, 2.8 million, 1.8 million, and all that. So, if you did another query you could also do query of, populations that way. So there's, New York's pretty big. There's 8 million. So how many cities in the world are as big as New York? I don't know. Let's try. And go back to SQL, and we could get our auto saved and just see, select all from city, except we're not going to say country code equals USA. We want everything in the world. We're just going to say order by population. Now you could do something, we could say where populate, we don't even have to order by. We could say where population, I'll click over here, I'll just double click on it. I'll say where population is greater than 7 million. So it's 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, where population is greater than 7 million. So that'll include New York or anything close to that. So how many cities in the world are as big as New York with 7 million people in just that city alone? Well, let's see. And it's coming up as 14. There's only 14, so it'll fit in here because it shows 25 to a page. And we didn't order it by anything. It's actually ordering it by, I don't know how it's ordering it, but it's not ordering by population. So if we want to order it by population and make sure it goes biggest to smallest, get autosaved query, and just right after this, we could just say order by and we'll say population again. I'll double click on it here, and then I'll also put descending, so I know it's putting it in that order. So we're going to select all from the city table where population is greater than 7 million, order by population, and put it in descending order, which should be the biggest first. So let's see what happens, and it should be the 14 largest cities. So it starts with, New York's down the list. There's one here that has over 10 million, 9 million. New York's way down the list. I don't even know if New York makes it in the top 10 because there's 14 here. New York's down, looks like it barely makes it in the top 10. If you wanted to check the top 10, that's easy. We know how to do that already. Get autosave query, and then right after here we could just put limit 10, and that will give us our top 10. And I'll hit go again. And here's our top 10, and you can see New York just made it in the top 10 with 8 million. It's not even in the, it's not even in the top 9 of the world's largest cities. You could do a query to find the largest population and the smallest surface area to find, the most densely populated countries. There's lots you can do with these queries, but I just wanted to give a little start just so you could see some of the language. I'll put that on an instruction sheet, and then I'll just give you some questions for you to find out. I'll let you just kind of mess around in here a little bit because I could do this for hours. It's actually kind of fun. But I'll give you some questions so you have to find this out. And if you get an error, let me just show you something. If you get an error with anything, I'll just go here and I'll just put an error. I'll just take this away. And if I hit go, I'll probably force an error. And here's an error, and it'll pretty much tell you you have an error in your syntax. Sometimes it'll give you some description which might help you. This one doesn't really help me that much, but if you type something wrong in here or whatever, you should get a little bit of help when you do something wrong. So I'll put limit, let's say I did limit 5 just to do that. Now that should fix it. I shouldn't have an error anymore, and it should show me that there's 5. And here are my top 5, and obviously New York isn't in there. So anyway, I'm going to give you some questions, how many this and that kind of thing. That are different than mine, so you could kind of go and remember whenever you do that, you're just going to look at the top. Whenever you run a query, you're going to look at what it says up here, 5 total or 10 total, and you're going to give me that back so I know that you kind of did it. So hopefully you'll have fun with this and learn a little bit about the SQL structured query language.